Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is going to be the last session for pre-con day of Dare to Be Great 5. Wow, it has gone fast, but it has been amazing. It has been an excellent one. And to close out the day is my good friend, Roxy Van Gundy, and she's going to be doing a session called Lead Loud. And take it away, my friend.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Ricardo. I just continue to be thankful and blessed for not only your friendship, but your willingness to always support me and all of the things that I do. So, Dare to Be Great 5 is just another example of all the things that you give us in 911. And we're super, super, super thankful for you. And I don't think you get told that enough. So, guys, how's it going? I'm so glad you're here. 714 people. That's awesome. Let's keep trying to get that number to go up throughout the conference. This session, I better go back, is called Lead Loud, Leadership Lessons to Make Some Noise About. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Roxy Van Gundy. I always like to say it's a great day to be in 911. I love what I do. I love the people that I get to do it with. And I love that I have gotten to meet and get to know so many of you out there. It's just been a real pleasure. A little bit about me. I have been in 911 for about 18 years, and that's about like 180 years in dispatcher time. I feel like it's sort of like dog years. It's the same difference. I started in the center that I currently direct. So this is my home center. I'm really proud of the fact that I started here and I'm now getting the honor to lead this center. In the middle of my time, I moved to Fairbanks, Alaska, and I started working at the Alaska State Troopers Northern Operations Center as a dispatcher for all of our most northern state troopers. So it was a great experience. And then I came back home and they hired me back at my home center, and the rest is kind of history. Um, I did some work also in there in the private sector. I started a training and quality assurance department for a rent to own company. So I got my feet wet a little bit on private sector training. But I'm kind of like Sam. My heart is really in training people. I love to see people click and get something you've been trying to show them. I just love that feeling. I'm very active in National NINA. I'm the co-chair of the NINA Wellness Committee, which has been a real honor getting to oversee some of the work that we've done. I'm also a co-chair of the Daily Operations Committee. I'm really busy on the national front. And I'm also the immediate past president of Kansas NINA, which has been great. Kansas NINA is a very small chapter, and it's been very cool to get to grow it. But most importantly, I'm Buddy's mom. Anyone who knows me knows that I have a little dog who's almost 10 years old, and he has a mohawk, and he's pretty much the light of my life. So you might get to see him at the end of this presentation. So let's get into it really quickly. Ricardo, I am ready to share my video.
Sounds good.
I have an expression that I love to teach on, and that is everything worthwhile is uphill. It really is. John Maxwell here. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. Life is not easy. Scott Peck, in his book, The Road Less Traveled, starts the entire book by saying, life is difficult. It really is. What makes life difficult for a lot of people is they don't think life should be difficult. And so therefore, they're looking for a quick way, a quick answer, an easy way. There are none. It truly is uphill all the way. And to go uphill, you have to be intentional. Nobody ever accidentally climbed a mountain. Nobody ever accidentally got up to a new level. If you climb higher, you're intentional. You're putting forth energy, effort, time, muscle to make that happen. Now, here's the challenge. We have uphill hopes, but we have downhill habits. That's not a good combination. So if you want to go uphill, get rid of the downhill habits. Quit coasting. No one ever wrote a book on accidental achievements. Nah, it's uphill all the way. Thanks for being with me today on Minute with Maxwell.
Okay, guys, I appreciate that. We were having a little bit of trouble with the video audio, so we're going to have to go back and forth. But it should be easier, right? I think that that's kind of the consensus with some folks. 911 is hard. Our lives are hard. All the way around it. There's no way around it. We have a hard job. And it's every part is hard in 911. We don't get easy here. And I think that a lot of people think, well, there should be some easy parts in 911. Why isn't there? Our centers should be better. Admin should make it easier. Callers should make it easier. We see that all the time on social media, right? When people kind of complain about their leadership or complain about their callers. But intentional leadership is where the game starts to change. Reinvesting, choosing to be something different, that's all a choice. That's a choice you can make right now as you leave this session. Everything, my favorite part of that Maxwell video is absolutely everything worthwhile is uphill all the way. And that's 911 too. It's uphill all the way. No center, no leader, no nothing had culture changes that were made overnight. It's an intentional choice that you have to make every single day. I didn't have a lot of great leaders. Okay, I didn't have anyone to learn from that I could really say influenced good leadership in me. I had the part-time investor. Anybody know a part-time leader who's half in, half out? Do we even know if director so-and-so is here today? I had that leader for a long time. And part-time investors, that pretty much just says, I don't care about this and I don't really care about you. The other leader that I had was the leading and afraid. You know what I mean? The ones that tried to sort of insert some power, but started to let the inmates run the asylum. Too scared to hold people accountable. I'm too scared to address problems. I don't want to run people off. I don't want the hard, crusty veterans to get all over me. And then I had leaders who were just mean, just plain mean. They were also inappropriate. They were rude. They were unkind, and they didn't care anything about us. That was pretty clear for a very long time. But then I met somebody who changed my life. And if any of you have seen me speak before, you've heard me talk about Sergeant Johnson and Trooper Rich. And they were some troopers that I worked with in Alaska who were killed in the line of duty. And I don't want their story to just be about the fact that they were killed in the line of duty. I also wanted to tell you a story about Sergeant Johnson that really influenced my leadership. We were a training post. So once you came out of the academy, you went to one of our posts to learn. And we had a trainee from Alabama. His name was Daniel. But when he introduced himself, he said, "Oh, my name's Daniel, but call me Jason." Jason was not his middle name. I don't know how he came up with Jason. I don't know. But Daniel, call me Jason, was not doing very well in training. And that was very clear. He was not picking it up. And so they sent him to the closer, the guy that they sent all of the troopers that weren't going to make it. He was the guy that cut him off. Anybody have a closer trainer in their center or in their department? He was that guy, and he wasn't very nice. he had been in our department for a lot of years. So he was really crusty. He was a military guy. He yelled a lot. He just wasn't very nice. And Daniel Call Me Jason had taken a call, and he got on the radio, and he immediately, you could tell it went wrong. Like, you could tell Daniel did not do well at this call. And you could hear in the background Trooper Krusty yelling at him, saying he better get the F off the radio and drive back to post. Like, he was yelling, and it came over the radio. We were all like, ooh, Daniel Call Me Jason's in trouble. And so a couple minutes later, they come back, and we were really close to the outside door. And as soon as that door opened, we could hear Trooper Krusty just laying into Daniel Call Me Jason, screaming at him. Like, I could almost feel it in the dispatch center how loud he was. And you could hear Daniel kind of like saying, okay, yes, sir. And all of a sudden, I had to go to the bathroom. And our bathroom was exactly right where this was all happening. And I was like, I don't want to go in there and go past, and I don't want him to yell at me. So I waited a little bit, and the yelling died down. And I walked out of our hallway, and I noticed Sergeant Johnson and Daniel Call Me Jason standing in the hallway. And Daniel was leaned up against the wall, and Sergeant Johnson was crept over him, really, like they were closely talking. And I remember I heard Sergeant Johnson say, Daniel, I believe in you. Okay, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I believe in you. And he wasn't talking loud. He was quiet so the other troopers wouldn't hear. And I just thought for a second, I really wish I would have been trained like that, with compassion. He treated Daniel Call Me Jason with compassion and empathy, because he remembered that he was him once. And I remember he closed the conversation with him. He said, Daniel, go do this. Go make me proud. Go out there and do it. And Daniel, you could just see as they were talking, and I was trying to kind of watch but not get seen, just you could see him start to get more confidence just by talking to Sergeant Johnson. And don't get me wrong, Sergeant Johnson was really, like, he could be very strict. He could yell. He was very intense. But he saw a need for empathy there. I believe in you. Go out there and do it for me. Let's go. You can do this. It really showed me that you can choose to be an empathetic leader, that you can choose to lead another way. I was taught yelling. I was taught fist bump. I was like, fist on the desk. You're going to kill him if you don't say 10-4. You're so dumb. That's what I learned as a leader. But in that moment, I learned that being in a paramilitary organization doesn't mean that you can't lead with heart. So why is leadership so important? Because we can all be leaders. And I don't think everybody always realizes that. I don't care what you do in the center. I don't care. You can be a leader if you choose to. And we need to stop dancing around the problems in our 911 center and take ownership of them. Everybody has a piece in the problem. Everybody has ownership. Okay? And our problems aren't just the administration's problems. Okay? Let's stop with that. Okay, it's not just our supervisor's fault that our life sucks and our center sucks and everything about everything sucks. Everybody has a role to play. Leadership is accountability, courage, kindness, and action. Leading loud is constantly striving to be a better leader than you were yesterday. Do I do good every day? No, I make a lot of mistakes, but I try to be better than I was yesterday. And then I try to get a little better than that, okay? Nobody expects you to be a perfect leader. I just want you to choose to strive to be one. And accountability matters, but it's easy to just let it go, right? I think Ricardo or somebody was talking about it earlier. Well, that's just how so-and-so is. That's just how they are. No, You don't have to let it go. And it all starts with accountability. If we want a culture of excellence and we want people to view us as a profession rather than a bunch of secretaries, we need to start holding ourselves, our coworkers, and our administrators accountable. Okay? That has to happen. We have to start getting engaged. Accountability starts with becoming more engaged in daily activities, the mission, who we want to be, and who we want to surround ourselves with. You don't know what you don't choose to see, okay? And disengagement isn't just a 911 problem. Disengagement is a problem across all sectors, okay? It's the core of all types of organizational problems. And stop letting things go. Stop. You can break your back on the high road, guys. Stop letting things go. That's just how they are. That isn't okay. And a great quote from Gary Bell, you allow it, you promote it. That's frontline, that's admin, that's everybody. If you allow it, you promote it. Never truer words spoken. And this isn't all just an administrator's responsibility. I've already said that. But frontline people, you need to hold your coworkers accountable too. You see your coworker treating the new person like crap, it's your responsibility to say, hey, you need to check yourself today. What's going on? How can I support you? You were really rude to her just now. Look at her face. Come on, let's circle back. Okay? So important because every member of our team plays a role. Every single one. Even the person who's just been here 2 days, they play a role. And set some dang boundaries. Set some boundaries. Set them. You know, it's okay to have them, right? You're not going to explode. Nothing's going to happen. Set some boundaries. What's okay for you? What's not okay? Why? Expectations are cool too, okay? And you need to be open about sharing those. Here are my expectations for you as a partner on my shift. Here's my expectations for you as my friend, okay? And you are in charge of the energy and peace that you spend on somebody. Let me read that again. You are in charge of the energy and peace you have to spend on someone. Okay, you don't need to justify anything at all. Okay, but having boundaries and expectations of people are important. And boundaries and accountability are good for you, it's good for your center, and it creates a better work product for our partners and our community. We're holding each other to a higher standard, not just a professional one, but a personal one as well. And Brene Brown, who does not love Brene Brown? She's the greatest. When is she going to run for president already? I feel like she should. From Dare to Lead, highly recommend if you have not read it. It's a great book. Leaders should model appropriate boundaries, and all team members must take responsibility for establishing their own boundaries and respecting the boundaries set by others. Examples of appropriate boundaries might include starting all meetings on time, not checking or responding to emails after a certain time in the evening, or not taking work home on weekends. I think many of us are guilty of some of those. Being clear in your boundaries, being clear and consistent in your accountability, that's all vital. And I'm going to echo a quote that Sam just told you. Clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. It's so true. Clear is kind. So where do we start? How the heck am I going to get accountability going in my center? Well, one idea is core values. What story are you going to write for your center moving forward? If you have core values, have you revisited them? Are they still valid? Okay. Collaborate. Get together and create the values. Everybody has input. Yes. Salty Sally, Cranky Chris, they've got to get involved too. We're all a part of the team. Every suggestion is valuable. And agree to hold each other accountable for the values. Okay. Collaboration equals engagement. Okay. Develop a mission and vision statement. It's going to serve as a strategic plan for your success. Everybody knows where we're going, and everybody knows how we're going to get there. Okay? Super, super important. Here are our mission, motto, and core values. I'm not going to waste time reading all of this, but I do want to highlight one of them. One of our core values is safety, and one sentence I love really so much is helping to create a safe, warm work environment for our coworkers. That's big, right? And I think when I first started in 911, I didn't really think about it like that. I'm here to keep my unit safe, but I'm not even thinking anything about the safety of my coworkers. Psychological safety is huge. How you treat someone plays all up in their feeling of safety. Okay, so it's just a really good sentence that I love to highlight. And if you're going to write core values, don't write them if you aren't going to live by them. Okay, create accountability based on those values. Talk about them often, loudly. Tie them to real world coaching and kudos. For example, Selena and Cassandra demonstrated safety when they continuously checked on our responders who were traveling a little too close to the tornado's path. They continued to make sure that those units were okay until they were at a better vantage point. That's huge. Tie that into why it's important. And develop goals as a team. One of our goals is trust. So how do we create trust in our communities? We develop marketing plans, do school visits, connect with community groups, visit gatherings and social events. That all creates trust with people. We're transparent about what we do, okay? I have nothing that's going on here that I'm not willing to share with someone else, okay? Just be very open with your community, with your stakeholders. Transparency builds trust. And more accountability stuff. Hold your folks accountable for your mission, your motto, your core values. I fired people based on our values, okay? They've made another center successful because they violated one of our 4 values. Hold them accountable for the work product that they're expected to give. If someone promises you something, hold them to it. I learned a long time ago that if you send out emails to people without due dates, they just delete them. So put a due date. I want to hear back from you by December 15th. I want to hear back from you by the 1st of the year. Professional accountability versus dispatcher accountability. I'm going to talk about that just for a second. Dispatcher accountability, we don't talk to each other very well, do we? I've seen a lot of times where I'm like, ugh, did you feel comfortable saying that out loud to someone? And by holding somebody accountable, that means we yell at them. We get in their face. We act crazy. That tends to be what dispatchers term as accountability, whereas professional accountability is, hey, Nikki, I gave you this deadline for Friday and I hadn't heard from you, so I wanted to circle back and see if you had an update for me. We don't yell at Nikki. We don't get upset with Nikki. Maybe Nikki had a sick kid at home and she had to go home and she wasn't thinking about the fact that she had a deadline on Friday. Just shifting that thought process. Think about how we were trained versus how we could do it better. I think we could always get better in that. And have the conversation. Creating accountability and boundaries is a culture shift. Not everybody's going to get on board, okay? Just because you have sparkly ideas does not mean everyone else is going to have sparkly ideas. I like to tell this story about one of my dispatchers who was baking on duty. She had a cake business, and so she would use our break room to bake cakes and fulfill orders and do cupcakes. And she would do her duties and she'd say, oh, I've got to run to the kitchen really quickly. And she'd go check on her cupcakes. And then she'd come back. And 5 minutes turned into 15 minutes, and 15 minutes turned into 30 minutes. Well, the other director let her do that and didn't talk to her about it and didn't hold her accountable for doing it. And so when I said, hey, you can't do that anymore. Working your second job while you're working your actual job is not okay. Well, nobody has ever said anything to me about it. Well, now we are. You can't do that, and we're going to hold you accountable for it. So have those hard conversations. It's hard to approach somebody who you're close to, or somebody that you know their heart is in the right place, but have that difficult conversation. And some people will need to be released from your life and from your center. Okay, I'm in a very small center, so a lot of the people that I lead I've known for a really long time, that have been my friends for a long time. And so it's difficult to say, I don't think that we can work together anymore. That's a tough thing. And I think what people struggle with is that they don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to be the bad guy, but your coworkers, your center, your career, you all deserve to have a culture of accountability where people are expected to maintain an expectation, okay? And in tiny centers, you're right, it's really, really difficult when you know these people and you develop these personal relationships, to make sure that there's separation. Stick with it. People expect you to give up. They're like, okay, so she's going to roll out these new policies, or she just came back from training. We'll give this a week and it'll be fine. She'll go back to the old way and it'll be fine. No, you cannot do that. Accountability isn't going to be easy. It is uphill all the way. Okay, there have been days I have walked to my car and wanted to just drive away, literally out of this town, out of this county, out of this state, because it is so hard to have those conversations and to get people shifted in that direction. It's painful. I mean, that's really a good word for it. It is painful. But committing to accountability and leading loud with accountability pays off. I think our first year together as me as director in our center was really hard because we'd been allowed to do a lot of things that weren't very good for a very long time. And so that first year of getting people shifted into the right direction, it was hard. And we had more bad days than we had good days. But if you stick with it, if you keep after it, things start to turn. It's like turning the Titanic away from the iceberg. It eventually did turn. You just got to keep pushing, okay? In my next video, Ricardo,
Do you have the courage? I'm going to drop something on you. It takes courage to be successful. It is far easier not to be successful. Misery will always have company. Success breeds contempt. If you don't want to make waves, be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. And if you're more concerned about people than you are God, then neutralize everything He put in you. Just fit in with everybody else. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you neutralize your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to go where you've never gone before. For some of you, it took courage to come to this conference. It takes courage to get you outside of
So if you haven't realized, we're going to talk about courage. Okay. Leading loud takes a big dose of courage. Words matter. Okay. Doing something different than the way we've always done it took courage. What can we do that could turn things on their head? What do you do right now that you just do because you've always done it and you don't know why you do it? It's just what we do. How can you turn that on its head? Okay. Another thing that takes a whole lot of courage is standing up and demanding a culture of professionalism. Okay. Demanding our seat at the table. There are so many people out there who don't look at us as first responders, and it takes so much courage to get up there and say, you're wrong, and here's why. Standing up and saying that we shouldn't be 105 counties or 77 counties of dispatchers, we should be a whole state of dispatchers. We should be a whole group fighting for one common effort, okay? And having the courage to change. We didn't start being leaders. A majority of us did not start out being good leaders. We didn't even start out with the intention of being a leader. And we learned how to be one way. And we've got to continue to better ourselves. Got to become a better version of what we were yesterday. And courage takes many forms. We got to change perceptions. Dispatch has a voice now. That doesn't work for us, and here's why. Okay, we need to be involved in after actions and critical incident stress debriefings, and here's why. Decisions that impact dispatch should include dispatch. How many times have you heard, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to have a big enforcement effort, and we've got 15 guys coming in to run traffic, and they'll be here in like 20 minutes. Excuse me? No. Decisions that impact dispatch should include dispatch, okay? And people, professionals, have to act professional. You just do. See the accountability section. If we want to be first responders, then we need to act like it. When they go low, we go high. Michelle Obama. Every single time, when they go low, we go high. I don't care who said what to you. We are professionals, and people are going to see us as professional. We act like that every minute of the day. And we're going to be a team of change makers and ceiling crashers. We're not going to accept the status quo. Can it get better? What can we change? What can we do that's just one step out of that box that we're used to? Why can't we do that? Okay, why can't we do that? You know, my team had a TikTok for a while. And when they came to me about their TikTok, I was like, I don't think this is a very good idea. But I said, yes, why can't they do it? What's the worst that can happen? I have to shut it down. Another thing that we do is, how many times do you hear about community policing? Well, why aren't we trying to do community dispatching, right? Like, we raise money for our jean jar. So people can wear jeans here if they pay $1 a day. We use all of those dollars to do amazing stuff in the community. We have food drives. We paid off some lunch money tickets for some local schools. Community dispatching could be a thing too. Why can't we do that? No idea is too small, too hard. Ruth was a great example of all of those things a small, medium, and large center can do. And we got to have the courage to be technology driven. Okay, 911 is more tech driven than it has ever been before. And having the courage to be a technology leader rather than a technology follower is huge. And why is that courageous? Because technology is scary. The evolution of our job is scary. The fact that they're coming out with AI and all of these things that I think some people could perceive as taking away from our jobs, that's scary. So having the courage to be open-minded, having the courage to try, that's huge. And leaders, think about it when you're introducing new technology. You could have 4 generations of folks in your center. So new technology is going to mean something different to each of them. So be aware of that. Have the courage to step out of your box and say, hey, how are you doing with this? Is this okay for you? How can I support you? Educating ourselves at the highest level takes some courage, doesn't it? Some of us live in centers where our education is not number one, okay? There's a lot of centers, even in my state, where educating dispatchers is not the first priority, okay? It takes courage to step out there and apply for scholarships. It takes courage for a girl from Northeast Kansas to go to CPE. It takes courage to invest in yourself for year-long programs. Commit to you. That is so, so important. Have the courage to seek out trainings that enhance your leadership capacity. If you're a frontline person right now, that doesn't mean you're not going to be a director later. Let's get you trained up. Get you trained up. And I want to talk really quickly about this picture, because these two wanted to go to a crisis intervention training that was being held by our state law enforcement academy. It was for law enforcers. That was what the listing said. And so I asked them, hey, is it okay if I send these 2 dispatchers? They really want to take part in this. And they're like, sure, we'd love to have them. Perfect. So one of our police officers had just gone to this training, and one of these ladies asked him, like, hey, what did you think about this training? And he's like, oh, it was fine. And she's like, well, I'm getting ready to go to this. And he looked at her and he's like, what do you need to know that for? And so she went ahead and educated him on why crisis intervention training is pretty important for a dispatcher. And what did these 2 girls go and do? They went to this training in a room full of law enforcers. They stopped at every point and said, that doesn't work for dispatch. What about this? This is a dispatcher perspective. And they asked so many questions and got those law enforcers thinking so much that the Law Enforcement Academy is now going to make one class for crisis intervention training solely focused on dispatchers because of those 2. Because they had the courage to go to our Law Enforcement Academy and do something different, expand their leadership capacity. They changed it for a whole state of dispatchers, all because they had the courage to do it. So super proud of them. We got to have the courage to push each other farther, but positively. Okay, we're not pushing people out into traffic. Don't get all Regina George. You got to push each other farther. Okay, we have to be our team's biggest hype. Okay, and administrators, you've got to start with your supervisors. It's a trickle down. What are your goals? What are your dreams? How can I help you get there? Okay, I'm here to make good dispatchers, but I'm also here to make good citizens and good humans and good moms and good dads. How can I help you reach your dreams? Okay, and frontline, are you mentoring the younger staff, trainees? Are you helping them out? Are we acknowledging when our teammates do something good? Hey, Nikki, you did a great call just now. That was awesome. You really handled her. She's tough to take sometimes. Do we take that 2 or 3 minutes to just hype our coworkers up? It takes courage to do that. It does, because that's not the normal. But it means so much. And doing things outside of the box, I've mentioned this before, but we got to have the courage to change something to make it even 2% better. Okay? Frontline, can you create challenges to get people motivated? How many times can I answer the phone before anyone else? How many times can I put in the most calls of anybody on the shift? Let's get people going, okay? Let's put a little spark in our shifts every day. But that also takes courage. And admin, encourage your team to come up with ideas that are a little bit wild. Support them in it. Okay? As long as nobody goes to the hospital, nobody gets set on fire, nobody gets sued, then it's a yes for me. We'll see what happens, right? What's the worst that can happen if you say yes? We have impromptu dress down days. We have a snack station. One of my team members asked if we could have a self-care training at the art center and invite an art therapy group to come and talk about art therapy and trauma. And hey, let's paint while we do that. Okay, sure, let's do that. That's a great idea. Encouraging this thinking, wild ideas, that gives people ownership in your center. Okay, and acting on this thinking, no matter what you think about it, is leading loud. Back up your people's ideas. Support them. Even if you don't know if it's going to work out very well, support it. That means so much to them. And say yes, guys. Say yes to every single opportunity that's given. Okay, I remember last year when Ricardo was like, hey, do you want to be the keynote, one of the keynotes for Dare to Be Great? Are you kidding? Holy smokes. And then that, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you're from a little center. Oh, what if you trip and fall in front of everybody? Just say yes. Just say yes. What's going to happen? What door is going to open that could change the rest of your life? Just say yes. Are you going to a meeting that you've never been invited to before? What connections could you make there? Again, you're meeting people maybe that could change the whole trajectory of your life. Training you've never been to? Say yes. Okay? Saying yes can be hard, but it can also be the biggest act of self-love that you can give yourself. I have small town syndrome. I always go back to, I'm not worthy. I'm from a small town. I'm from a small center. No. Say yes. That's loving yourself. That's respecting your abilities. That's acknowledging what others see in you. Okay? You're so important. Okay? Make the decision. You deserve it. Okay? Don't ever doubt that you deserve it. And if you doubt, you need to come see me and I'll tell you you deserve it. And seek clarity. Big part of having courage is seeking to understand. Okay? I don't always get it. I don't always get what's happening, how things got from A to Z to G and back to Z again. But seek clarity. Don't go in there with guns blazing. Don't go in there with assumptions. Can you tell me how you got there? Okay, I'm circling back with you because the story I'm telling myself. Circle back. Ask questions. Nobody expects you to understand a policy, a conversation, an expectation, or somebody else's emotions in the same way. If you don't get it, circle back. Okay? I try as a leader to go into all complaints or, negative things that come to me with the mission to understand how it got there. Okay? I've been under leadership where that was my fault before I even got to tell my side of the story. So have the courage to understand, okay? And if you make a mistake and you make an assumption, apologize. Just apologize. Yeah, Green, that's Cassandra in the comments. She's my favorite. Show vulnerability. That's another thing that takes a lot of courage. I think a lot of us that have been in 911 for any amount of time, when we were baby dispatchers, having feelings was bad, right? You can have feelings in 911. That's okay. Nobody's going to burst into flames or explode if you have a tear shed, or if you get mad about something, or if something makes you sad. If you take a hard call that should make a normal human feel sad, that's okay. Feelings does not equal failure, okay? And trust is the stacking and layering of small moments and reciprocal vulnerability over time. Trust and vulnerability grow together, and to betray one is to destroy both. Brene Brown. That's huge. Have you ever had somebody tell you in the 911 center something important, or experience a hard call where they got really upset and then you went off and told everyone about it? It destroys everything. Destroys everything. If you have a partner who's had a hard call and you've spent some time with them and you've helped support them, then that stays in that shift. Nobody else needs to know about it. Okay? Don't destroy the trust that you build with people. And have the courage to choose joy instead of that other junk. Okay, I see all the time on the book face and the Instagram and the TikTokies all the time. Meanness, horrible, 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 horrible self-awareness, emotional intelligence. People are so mean in 911. But I don't see anybody saying, hey, I used to be a mean girl, or I'm trying to get better and not be a mean girl. Well, I'm a recovering mean girl. And does that mean that I don't slip up sometimes? Yep, I do. But I've tried to change my outlook on 911 and change my outlook on how I treat others. And when I stopped being a mean girl, I lost some friends. Because mean just creates more mean, right? And choosing joy to see the positive in 911 instead of the negative, that isn't the popular road, right? Going on Facebook and trashing your coworkers and trashing your citizens and trashing your officers, that's the popular thing. We don't have to do this job. We get to. Don't have to do this job. We get to do it. What a cool job. Oh my gosh, could you imagine if you worked at a mall or at Starbucks or at the grocery store and that was your job? I have the utmost respect for those people. Starbucks keeps me from killing others, but I would be bored to tears. We don't have to do this job, but we get to. I get to be here with you because of it, okay? And often, especially when I feel a little meanness come out, or I snap at somebody and I don't mean to, or I do something that's just not cool, I have to check back into myself and say, how's your joy? How's your peace? And if I don't feel like they're in a good place, then I need to do the work to get me back to good. Okay? That's so important. How's your joy? How's your peace? And work to change it if the answer isn't what you like. And kindness works, guys. It does. Again, being clear is kind, even when it's hard. Even when somebody might not want to hear it. Okay? Even if there's conflict, even if there's pain. Because being clear with them now and getting into that conflict and pain with them might set them up for success later. It really could. And instead of spreading the flu or COVID, let's spread some kindness around. Okay? One good act deserves another. Encourage it when you see it. Kindness creates happy endorphins that combat all the unhappy that we have to hear. Surly Sam might be hard to be kind to, but what would happen if it changed him forever? Think about that. Think about those people in your centers who are really difficult. They're difficult personalities. And maybe people have given up being kind to them, and they go a long time without hearing much kindness. What if that one time that you chose to be kind to them changed it all? There's a lot of power in that, right? Choose to be kind. And kindness has benefits. Cassandra is so smiley. It increases productivity. It increases satisfaction. Healthier staff. Healthier staff means less overtime, higher quality of work, stress lowering, engagement increasing, and it makes other departments a little bit jealous, I think, right? We put up a post on our social media that I wrote about how grateful I was for my employees. I think it was like Employee Appreciation Day or something. I don't remember what it was. But just talking about how grateful I was for them. And I am. I'm so grateful for them. And I heard a little story that maybe that post was read out loud in a shift change with our police officers and maybe made fun of a little bit. And you know what? At the time, it made me a little angry, but I got to thinking about it. Maybe they made fun of it because they were jealous. I didn't see any posts from their administration talking about how much they appreciated their employees. Maybe they were a little jealous. So work to be so kind that other agencies are jealous of you, right? That's a great expectation to have, okay? And how do we sprinkle some kindness out there? Come in with a smile, even if you don't feel very smiley. That's hard. I don't have good days every single day. I live with a chronic illness. I don't always feel great every single day. But people feed off of your energy. I think that's already even been expressed today. People feed off what you give. Ask people how they are. It takes you 5 seconds to say, hey, Bob, how was your weekend? What did you do in your garden this weekend? Recognize people's achievements, even if it's something small, okay? If you heard maybe your sassy dispatcher just handle somebody really kindly, tell them, hey, Lex, that was great. You did such a good job there. Turn the human back on. Treat people like humans, okay? When we take all of these calls that are really difficult, we have to shut that part of our brains off, the human part. But don't forget when you hang up the phone that you need to turn that back on, okay? And how do we do little extras to be kind in the center? We have a sticky note board. We've had a big poster in the back by our mailboxes where we just write little notes to each other. Gift cards. Sometimes I will buy a bag of 100 grand candy bars when I can find them. I don't know why they're so hard to find. And I just write, I wish I could pay you 100 grand because that's what you're worth to me. But here's a candy bar. So just little gifts and snacks to make people know that you're thinking about them. And create a culture of kindness. I stole this from someone, but it's a great little example that you can do for no cost. Be like cheese or bacon and make everything you touch better, the kid president. And then the question is, how would you make somebody better or something better today? And get people involved in the kindness. I don't know about you, where you are, but in Kansas, getting people a Sonic drink is how we say I love you. So Thirsty Thursday, what is your favorite drink from Sonic? Just get people thinking. And if you do boards like this where you create that culture, write these down. So then you can show people that you're thinking about them by getting them a blue raspberry slush or getting them a cherry limeade without them asking. That's how you little things to show that you're thinking about your folks. And combat bad behavior with kindness. Somebody snaps at you, come back with kindness. An officer is rude on the radio. I know. Let's take a moment for that shocker. But respond to him in kindness, okay? You don't know what he's seeing. You don't know what he's dealing with. You don't know if maybe he couldn't find his shoes this morning. You don't know. Just respond back in kindness. When they go low, we go high. Some caller called you some bad names. Thank them for calling. Hey, Dell, have a great day. I'm really glad to hear from you. Glad you're doing good. Thank you. Clapping back is easy. Rude is easy, but kindness is a choice. It's all a choice. Morale committees, that's a great way to spread kindness. You can spread kindness and higher morale through high QA scores, giving people, certificates and awards, kind words about your contributions to the team, dress down days, spirit weeks, themed food. I always say we don't have to wait for telecommunicator week to have fun at our jobs, right? If you've had a week where your team has taken a huge amount of crappy calls, sometimes my folks will say, hey, could we maybe wear pajamas for the next week. Sure, if that's going to make you happy and get you in the better headspace, sure, do that. Okay? It doesn't have to just be for telecommunicator week. And a whole lot of action is needed to lead loud. Okay? Advocate for 911. Leading loud centers around advocacy. Okay? Stand up for what you believe. Stand up for centers who can't talk as loud as you can. I see all the time where centers who have a lot of technology and they have a lot of people, they don't suffer from staffing problems like most of us do. And they're big leaders in our community. They talk about what they're doing, right? They don't talk about other folks and their struggles and their concerns, okay? You have to stand up for other centers. And 911 needs you to advocate for it now more than ever, okay? We need to get the 911 Saves Act passed, and that's going to take each and every one of us reaching out to our legislators and making that happen. It has to happen. Committee work. Another part of leading loud is committee work, okay? I didn't think that I could be on a committee and anyone would care what I had to say. But committee work on a national level is where the biggest advocacy could happen. Okay, there's so many big centers that are involved in APCO and NENA committees. Get some more small centers in there. We need a variety of perspectives to work on issues, okay? And this can lead to so much networking and meeting legislators. Honestly, being on a committee opened so many doors for me. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I just really encourage you, no matter how big or small your center is, get involved on a national level. We need new voices. You have a big voice. Don't ever doubt that, okay? Leading loud, you have a big voice in there, okay? What needs to change? Tell people. What are your ideas for staffing and retention? How do we get the public and other first responders to understand our jobs better? How do we change 911 to fit the new workforce? Think about it, 8th graders. They're coming into our center in not very long. Have you browsed TikTok lately and Teacher Talk and how that's working for teachers that are teaching these 8th graders? How are we going to adjust our training and our onboarding and our technology expectations for these 8th graders? Be curious about what we could do better. Ask questions, okay? Think about the things that need to change. And galvanize. Make sure that you're reaching out to surrounding counties clear across the state from you. Introduce yourself. Ask how you can support them. Hey, I'm Roxy from Emporia. What can I do to help you? Do you have any policies or training that you could use? What can I do? Stay in touch with all of your centers. Come to conferences. Meet a new friend. Go up to somebody that you don't know and say, hi, I'm Roxy. I'm from Kansas. They let me out sometimes. I want to be your friend. You would be so surprised how many people that you meet by just being courageous enough to step out of your comfort zone. And that one friend that maybe you meet in a conference and step out of your comfort zone for could be the person that opens a door for you, okay? And focus on your confidence. As we kind of close out, I just want to say that being a loud leader is hard. People have talked about me, made fun of me. I don't care. That's fine. But be aware of your confidence and your feelings. Even confident people have feelings too, okay? Be aware of your body and fill your cup up often and as full as you can. Think about podcasts, books, downtime, your dog, what fills you up. And it's easy to forget that while you're blazing a trail, your light can get burnt out too. Okay, don't spend so much time going and going and going that you don't focus on yourself. So I'm going to close with this quote from Steve Jobs. I love it. I think it absolutely encompasses what I think about my journey through 911. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that's as true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a very large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle. This is the best year of my life, and I hope the next year is going to be even better. Okay, it just gets better. It really does. And it all starts with a choice. And I want you all out there to just remember to stay hungry and to stay foolish and just do things that you think are a little crazy and say yes to things that you're like, I could never do that. Yes, you can. Okay? Stay hungry. Stay foolish. Thank you guys. This is my little boy, Buddy Van Gundy. He's the best thing ever. I put contact information up. Please reach out. I'd love to make new friends. I'm also on Circle. I'd love to connect with you. So thank you all so much.
Well done.
Thanks, buddy.
Well done. That was amazing. And the chat is blowing up right now, but I'm in the question area right now. So we're gonna jump right into the questions that are here. There's a few of them. So let's jump right into this, and then we will go to After the Greatness with Jennifer Poole. She's going to be joining me over there, and that's going to be over all social media. But first off, let's go with this first question here. And it said, what's a good way to hold poor leadership accountable?
Consistency. So if you have poor leadership, being consistent, saying, I see you, I see what you're doing, being accountable, going through progressive discipline if that's necessary, having those hard conversations. I think people are too quick to shy away from holding poor leadership accountable because, gosh, how are we going to fill that position? It's the same with frontline, right? We let people who are a little subpar stay in positions because we're too afraid of how are we going to deal if that person is gone. So consistency and calling it out for sure.
Perfect. And also for those who are watching and listening as well, all of these questions are and answers and everything are being recorded. So if you come back and you choose one of these questions, it'll take you right to the moment when it was answered, which is one of the great things about this platform as well. So here's the next question here. It says, how does your agency evaluate floor supervisors, how they interact with employees? If usually dispatchers are more likely not to complain on a supervisor for fear of retaliation.
So for me, I'm a really small center, so that's a little bit different for me. I'm engaged with how they treat people. I know what they're doing a majority of the time. And I think they all kind of know that if something does happen, it's going to get back to me eventually. So if they have an issue or some kind of thing that didn't go right, a lot of times they just self-report to me and they're like, hey, this happened and I don't know really how to solve it. So we just have a really open communication line and we're really checked in with each other. We talk all the time. So it's pretty easy for me to keep track of what they're doing and how they're engaging with people.
Awesome. Trying to remember when I was in dispatch how we did it with our supervisors. I think we actually evaluated each other.
Ooh, that would be interesting. That would be kind of awesome.
It was awesome and interesting.
Well, and because for my supervisors, they also work console positions. So, I evaluate them every year like I do other employees, but we just stay really engaged with each other. So if there's a problem, we work it out together and try to get on the right track.
Awesome. All right, let me see here. I've got two more.
How do you stop letting things go? I think that it's in the delivery, Catherine, right? I think it's how you choose to package it. I have somebody who is, I'm going to just take, for example, somebody who has some QA that isn't always great, right? And they do a couple of things that are not to our expectation. It's not something we grade them on, but it's something we expect from them. And so at first, I tried to be a little jokey about it and like, hey, we heard this call and you were a little aggressive, And when it didn't get taken care of, then we addressed it again and we addressed it again. Because there's an expectation, Catherine, all we serve here is professionalism. And if that person can get to that standard, we're going to keep touching on it. Okay. And if somebody talks to somebody poorly, then we're going to touch on it, because here that used to be, well, that's just how Ricardo is. I'm not going to let go of that. Okay. So if you talk shitty to somebody, I'm going to tell you, hey, you need to circle back with her and get that straightened out. I just think packaging and how you deliver it is so important. And that's why getting to know your team and really understanding who they are as people and how they receive feedback best is so important, because how I talk to one person may be a little bit different than how I talk to another. So it's not a blanket approach either. You really have to get to know your folks.
Excellent. And then the last one here is, how can you get a buy-in from the rest of the center trying to find ways to change without being sucked into the negativity?
I think being consistent, right, Amy? It's being consistent. It's 5 years of every single day, me trying my best to be consistent. We're going to be positive here. We're going to treat people a certain way here. And I don't care if you're having a bad day, I'm going to have a great day, because I'm so excited to be here and I'm proud of what we do, and I'm proud of the things that we've accomplished and the things we haven't accomplished yet. So I think it's really not a matter of you forcing them to buy into something. It's a matter of emulating what you want and being consistent about showing them the way, right? Those people who won't get on board will eventually fall off. And that may take some time, but eventually they're going to go and do what makes them happy.
All right. Excellent. That was an excellent session. QA. I'm going to have to go visit you so we can hit up some Korean barbecue like we did
Yes.
a month or so ago. That was so much fun. Oh man. No, this has been excellent, and I appreciate you and just everything that you do for the profession, your passion, just all of it. Thank you for being Roxy. I appreciate you.
Thank you for supporting us.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Hey man, gold line, thin gold line, all about it. This has been an excellent first pre-con day for Dare to be Great 5, and we're continuing with After the Greatness, which is going to start in just a few minutes, and that's going to be on all social media, so Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. I got it right. I always say Twitter. I mean, it's always going to be Twitter to me, but X. It's going to be that. But then tomorrow, After the Greatness, will, for the last 3 days, will not be on social media. After the Greatness is going to be over in the community. We're going to talk more about all of this stuff. And then also, I'm going to be doing giveaways over there for After the Greatness on the community, on Circle. But again, for today, it is going to be on social media, and you'll see it go out there and everything. So enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Thank you, Roxy, once again, and we will see you all tomorrow.